My name is Carlo Gabler, and I am going to read a passage from my first novel, The 11th Summer. This was published in 1985 when I was younger, thinner, and had much better hair. The 11th Summer is a novel about a young boy called Paul Weissman living with his grandmother on a farm in East Clare in the 1960s. And I'm going to read from the beginning of chapter 1. He stood in the blue room combing his hair. He had just wet it under the cold tap in the bathroom. The hot water tap was not working as usual. As he pulled the comb through the tangles in an attempt to make it lie down, little droplets spotted his lapels. Reflected in the mirror, he could see all of the room behind. Blue walls, the colour of the summer's day on Granny's cornflour packets. A wallpaper border of red roses running underneath the ceiling, and two big Vono bedsteads standing in each corner. Granny slept in one, and he slept in the other. Under Granny's bed there was a green plastic bucket that always smelt salty. That was where they peed at night, rather than using the water closet next door to Grandfather's bedroom. He was such a light sleeper, any movement nearby was in danger of waking him. Between the beds stood a huge wardrobe with a creaking door and a freckled mirror. This was the home of all the clothes Granny had brought back from New York in her fashionable days during the 1920s. Her hats lived on top. One of these was a Robin Hood hat and had a long brown feather which could be pulled out of its holder. When he was alone in the house, he used to take it out of the box, lie on the bed, and stroke himself with it, whilst thinking of cousin Philomena. Earlier that summer, he had inveigled her to remove her clothes, and had discovered that she was curiously different, with strange folds of pink flesh and the mysterious crease between. This had roused an urgency in him which he did not understand. "Paul, it'll soon be time to go." It was Granny calling from downstairs. He looked in the mirror one last time. His jacket was grey and cut like a blazer, with matching short trousers. Father had bought the suit for him, and he had worn it at Mother's funeral. The silvery buttons were gleaming, Granny having shone them the night before. He put down the comb, strands of hair trapped in its teeth, and ran out. When he got down to the kitchen, he found Granny standing by the kitchen window. "Oh, don't you look nice," she said. "Let's see you from the back." Turning full circle, he smelt cabbage boiling on the Aga and the distinctive smell of the anthracite they burnt. It was an interesting smell, but it made him itch behind the eyes. "Would you do old Granny a favour and thread the needle for her?" "Third time lucky," he said, when he finally got the blunted yarn through the eye. He clambered onto the wooden chair and lifted his arm. She dropped the wallet into his pocket and began to sew it along one side with big stitches. "Do you promise to be careful?" she said. "Yes." "And not give your money away?" "No." "And if you take your money out, you'll let no one see?" No. "Your wallet is sewn in, so you won't lose your money," she said. She cut the thread and tied the loose ends into a cluster of knots. "Promise to be a good boy?" "Yes," he said. She held him by the shoulders and stared into his eyes. "Look after Grandfather. We don't want him getting ill again." Yes. Promise? He nodded emphatically. Good boy.